Asalamu'alaikum guys, it is Ramadan 2019. This is my first video in the month of Ramadan and I am feeling extremely grateful to Allah for having allowed me to not only witness but experience this Ramadan. And you guys know how I feel about Ramadan. I'm not going to go into it, but it is, if you don't know, my favorite time of the year, just because of the vibe, how Muslims come together, how everyone seems to be more conscious of Allah, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see and to witness and experience. Now in today's video I'm sharing with you guys some habits that I believe that if you input into your Ramadan practices this year and in the coming years, inshallah, that they will help you to ensure that you achieve a very successful Ramadan. So I hope that you guys will enjoy the video, and I do believe that you're going to find some of these very helpful. So inshallah ta'ala, let's jump straight into the video. Now the first habit that I would like you guys to employ is more so of a mindset change, and something that I would like you guys to try and be a bit more conscious of, and that is switching your mindset from fasting because you have to fast, because fasting is a fard, which means it is compulsory for all of those who meet the conditions of fasting have to fast, with the exception of those people who don't meet the conditions. And if you guys want a video on who isn't allowed to fast, let me know. But for the majority of us, fasting is compulsory, and so we do it because we have to, and it is part of the 5 pillars of Islam. Now I want you guys to switch your mindset from doing, you know, Ramadan because you have to, into doing Ramadan because you want to, and fasting because you love Allah, out of love for Allah and out of wanting to become closer to Him. There is a lot to be said from when you do an act out of feeling like you have to do it versus doing an act just because you love to do it. I think doing an act because you love to do it and you love to please the person whom you're doing that act for has a much more higher ranking than doing an act because you have to do it. Now yes, we do still have to fast the month of Ramadan, that is a fact, is that we have to fast. However, I think that if you do adopt that mindset change, it will bring you closer to Allah and perhaps cause Allah to love you even more, because there is having iman and then there is having ihsan, and the difference between the two of them is just like ihsan is one level higher than just having iman. Okay, so I'm trying to like encourage myself as well as all of you guys to up our game from that level of iman to the level of ihsan. So fast the month of Ramadan with the intention of, oh Allah, I love you and I want to take this month as an opportunity for me to increase my love for you by obeying you even more and doing so many other good deeds. So that is my first habit, and the first tip that I would like you guys to employ is to switch your mindset from fasting because you have to into fasting because you love Allah and that you want to. The second habit that I would like to advise all of us take on is the habit of being more conscious on how you spend your time. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in an authentic hadith that take advantage of 5 things before 5 things, and one of those 5 things that he mentioned is your free time before you become really busy or before you become preoccupied. Now I know a lot of us are thinking, free time, I ain't got no free time this Ramadan, like everything is so busy. Yes, but at the same time I understand that, but the point is that even within your busy lives and your busy lifestyle and everything else that you have to do and all the responsibilities that you have to make sure that you are making some time for worship. The month of Ramadan is a month that is filled with so much blessings that you can't afford to just let that just go past you without making the most of it. So I would highly recommend that you sit down, write down what you do from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed, and see what you spend every single hour doing, and see where you can slot in acts of worship. I think for a lot of us, especially for those of us who have very busy lifestyles, you can go through the days of Ramadan and kind of just break your fast, and before you know it, you're looking back at your day thinking, okay, what other extra acts of worship have I done today? and there's nothing apart from going without eating and drinking. You haven't been able to implement or input any other acts of worship into your day. And Ramadan is too much of a special month to miss out on implementing extra good deeds. So look at your timetable, look at your daily morning, afternoon and evening routine, and see how you can input acts of worship into your routine. Whether it is you are working, because yes, you know, alhamdulillah, this is actually my first Ramadan in my adult life, where I am for the most part working from home and also working outside of the home for some of the parts. But for the first time, alhamdulillah, that I can say that I've had more time to dedicate to worship. But I know absolutely how it feels to have a full-time job and, you know, trying to get through the Ramadan. Then you've got the nights, you've got Taraweeh, and all of this is very, very busy. But guys, you still have times like lunch times. You have any break times, you know, between your work. You have when you return home from work. So you've just got to really literally steal time every time you can to implement some acts of worship. One of the greatest things that I like to do to kind of keep me productive and keep my mindset in the frame of Ramadan is always to listen to Islamic lectures. I use any excuse to listen to an Islamic lecture. You know, if you see me walking down the street and I've got headphones in my ears, someone might think she's listening to music. No, 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 honey, don't get it twisted. There's a lecture going on right there. And so it keeps me in the mind frame of being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just keeping my deen in mind as I go about my travels. In fact, I have a productive Muslim video that I made last year. I will link that video down below, and I share with you guys some of the things that I like to do just to implement worship into my daily routine, you know, as a busy working woman. And on the point of wasting time is, please avoid sleeping your whole way through the days of Ramadan. You know, some people think it's really clever to just, you know, you start your fasting, you get up, do whatever you have to do, then go back to bed and literally sleep the whole day off. Especially for young people, I know that a lot of you are, you know, in the exam season right now, and that means that a lot of you might have study leave, so you have time off of school so that you can revise in preparation for your exams. And a lot of you, if you're fasting, you just want to sleep and then wake up and it's like time to break your fast, and you think, you know, you've done the best that you can. Avoid doing that. That is not a good way of using the month of Ramadan and the days of Ramadan. There is so much blessings in it, and you don't want to miss out, because you guys know that your exams are important for you. Well, this exam is for the hereafter, and it is even more important. And you've got to keep in mind, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support you in your worldly affairs, you've got to make sure that you're on point, or at least that you're trying to be on point in terms of making sure that you are doing the acts of worship that you need to be doing for the sake of Allah. Okay, so make sure that you are not wasting your time sleeping the whole day through Ramadan and then just waking up and just eat, and then you think that that's the best that you can do. You can do more than that. If you have time to sleep during the days of Ramadan, you have time to be awake. I'm sorry. Okay, the next tip that I would like to give you guys is one that I just finished doing for myself, and that is a social media detox. Okay, now I'm not saying just don't ever go on social media like the whole Ramadan, because I feel like some social media channels and sites can actually be beneficial in helping you increase your iman. As you guys saw from my previous cleaning with me videos, I watch videos that remind me of Allah, you know, on lectures and things like that, and they are on social media. So I'm not saying to you just don't use social media at all, but ensure that you're using social media for the best purposes. Maybe what you can do is go through your subscription list and unsubscribe to the people whom you know their content is not going to be beneficial for you, especially in this month of Ramadan. And if you do that in this month of Ramadan, maybe after Ramadan, you can continue that as well, inshallah. Now, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to have any kind of fun, or you're not allowed to watch anything, and everything that you watch and do has to be to do with Islam. You know, you can watch some things that are on the lighter side. Like I like to watch like the Food Network, for example, you know, cooking and baking shows, things like that. Just make sure whatever it is that you are consuming from social media is halal and that it is pure. Remember that this is a month for Allah, and this is not a month for other people. This is a month for other people who are going to help you come closer to Allah, and this is not a month for those who are going to take you away from Allah. So guys, in the month of Ramadan, we're all about worshipping Allah, making sure that we're doing our best, doing so many acts of good deeds and extra acts of, you know, ibadah and things like that. And then we forget our relationship with other people. And so the habits that I would like you guys to adopt and that I'm advising myself and also you guys to take on, is the habit of being careful not to oppress other people. Now, if you're not sure what oppression means, oppression is basically to harm someone or to take their rights away from them or to refuse to give someone their rights. Okay, so be careful, be very, very careful, and ensure that you are not harming anyone in this month of Ramadan. It is so important. You could be spending the whole entire month of Ramadan being as holy as you can be, praying on time, fasting, you know, giving to charity, all of these good deeds, and you might end up on the day of judgment having to take all of those good deeds and give it to someone else because you harmed that person. So let us be very, very careful to ensure that we are not harming anyone in this month of Ramadan, whether it be on social media, whether it be in real life. Make sure that you are not harming anyone. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. If someone is trying to look for your trouble or start an argument with you, do what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ advised all of us to do. Just say to them, I am fasting, and just walk away. Just walk. Even if you're not the type to usually walk away and you want to be confrontational, try your very best to just walk away. You do not want to harm anyone in this holy month of Ramadan, because as I've said before, you might just be wasting all of your extra acts of good deeds, because that might be going to that person to compensate them for the fact that you harmed them. Oppression is something that we should be fearful of. It is darkness on the day of judgment. Oppression takes away your nur from you. It takes your light away from you. It is darkness, and you want to be very, very, very careful in this holy month of Ramadan to make sure that you are not oppressing anyone. If you think you may have harmed anyone, or you think you may have oppressed anyone, whether intentionally or unintentionally, try to seek their forgiveness, because sometimes we all do things and we all make mistakes because we're human beings. There is no human being on the planet that is perfect, okay? Someone is going to disappoint you at some time. The person that is most beloved to you, they will still disappoint you at some time, because that is human nature. We're just not perfect. But you know, a lot can be said for someone who makes a mistake and realize that they've made a mistake and goes back and tries to correct their mistakes. So if you've harmed someone, seek their forgiveness. If you don't want to say what you've done, whether you backbited them or whatever, and you don't want to say that, then at least try to do a good deed. Then try to make sure that you're doing a good deed on their behalf, or a good deed to them, or try to mend their image in some way. If you've destroyed someone's image in some way, try to mend it in some other ways, as a means of seeking forgiveness from Allah for what you've done, and also as a means of attaining that person's love again and seeking their forgiveness for the fact that you have harmed them. So I would highly encourage all of us to be very, very careful when it comes to oppression. Avoid cussing people, avoid taking people's rights, avoid not giving people their rights. Okay, like our parents have a rights over us, our children have a rights over us, you know, there are people, our neighbors have rights over us. You just want to be super careful to make sure that you're giving everyone their rights and that you are not oppressing anyone. The final habit that I would like all of us to really think about is getting rid of our personal bad habits. Now, we all have certain personal bad habits. Sometimes we don't even notice it. Sometimes it takes somebody else to point it out and say, have you noticed that you always do that? You know, and really think about it. If someone advises you and says, look, I've noticed that you've always done this thing and it's perhaps not the best, really think about it. Don't try not to take it as an attack. Yes, it has to come from that person in the best way possible. That person can't be seeming to be judgmental either, but do think about it and really consciously think to yourself, am I actually doing this? And if it's true and you are actually doing those bad habits, think about getting rid of those bad habits. A lot of us have bad habits that we've been doing for years, and Ramadan is no exception. We carry on doing those bad habits. So try to take this Ramadan to really fight your own nafs, to get rid of those bad habits that you know are not helping you in your deen, nor are they helping you in your dunya. Even if they're helping you in terms of your dunya, if they are of no good for you in terms of your deen, if deep down inside you know that Allah does not approve of this thing that I'm doing, try to avoid doing it. Make this month of Ramadan the month that you wean yourself off of your bad habits. And not only that, but also look for what good habit can I put in place of my bad habit. So let's say, for example, if you take the bad habit of like smoking, if you're going to try and quit smoking this month of Ramadan, then think of a good deed that you can do that could replace your habits of smoking. Okay, and I say this because I've noticed that this is a sunnah. an Islamic sunnah is to stop a bad deed, seek forgiveness for the from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having committed that bad deed, and actually doing a good deed in replacement, right? Like for example, Allah encourages us to seek forgiveness from Allah and do good deeds. You know, successful are those who repent often and they do good deeds. So it's not just enough to just repent and then do nothing afterwards. It's like, okay, boost it up by doing something good in replacement of it. And so that is some of the habits that I believe if you implement, you will inshallah have a very successful Ramadan. I pray that you guys have found this video beneficial. If you have, then definitely give this video a thumbs up and share it with your families and friends. Jazakallah khair guys for watching. Inshallah I will see you guys inshallah in the next couple of days with my next video. Enjoy your Ramadan and have a great iftar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.